But for the Quaker Stitch, you want a long piece of thread because I'm going to show you it with 2 threads. The Quaker Stitch is the only one of the 6 stitches that you can use with more than 1 thread. Now I'm using 2 threads here, so I've doubled it back on itself and I'm going to put the ends together and then tie a knot with the ends together. I like to demonstrate this with 2 threads because you can see it better. But you can actually do it in 1 thread, and you can do it in 4 threads, 6 threads or 8 threads. To do it, you come up from the back, with a knot at the back, and just as you did for the stem stitch, you want a little stitch to start with. And then at this stage, because we're using 2 threads, I'm going to put a twist in the wool. And you would take your needle in your right hand and turn it clockwise. And that puts a nice twist in the wool. And this is normally what you want to get rid of when you're embroidering. So if you let go a little bit, it doubles back on itself and creates a little rope. Normally you don't want that, but for this stitch you do. And you'll get used to what sort of tension you want in your stitch, but try and keep the tension evenly. So we're going to come down a stitch away from the end of the last one, and this is a bit like the stem stitch. Hold the lead thread out of the way, and then come up, and instead of going to the end of that stitch like you would with a stem stitch, I want you to split that stitch in half. So that's like a split stitch. So it's a combination of the stem stitch and the split stitch. Then pull very gently. Remember, that's got a twist in it, so let go at the last minute and let it sit on the surface of the fabric. I'll do another one. So a stitch down and come up at the end of the last, split the last stitch and then let go at the last minute. And it does create a nice fine line and it curves beautifully, which is why it was designed by Wynn-Wilson when she started the project, specifically for the lettering originally, but it has been used in all sorts of places other than the lettering. But the lowercase lettering she's done in 1 thread, and the uppercase lettering was done with 4 threads. It's a very useful stitch. When you are curving the stitch, when you're going around a little corner, a sort of curve, depends on the whether it's a sharp curve or a gradual curve, but just make your stitches slightly smaller. And if you're doing this right-handed, you want to be turning the curve anti-clockwise. I can show you how to do this if you are left-handed, because this is the only stitch where you do it slightly different if you're left-handed. You work away from yourself. So you create the little stitch first. Remember that stabbing technique, straight up, straight down. Twist the needle clockwise again to put the twist in the wool. Hold the lead thread to the right with your right hand and a stitch away from yourself. And then instead of coming up at the end, again you want to split. Oh, I'm much slower with my left hand. Split that stitch and then pull it through gently. Okay, again. So you're just working the other way, the other way up. and split the stitch. Now be careful to keep that twist in the wool even, and you'll find that some of us are twisters as we sew naturally, and some of us are untwisters, so whatever you are, you'll have to bear that in mind and keep the tension of that even. Now when you curve around a corner, again make your stitches slightly smaller, and again you're going anti-clockwise. The only difference is with the left hand you're working away from yourself rather than towards yourself. That's the only difference. I'll just do one more stitch and then I'll show you how to finish off. So to finish off, both right-handed and left-handed, just go into the end of the last stitch. On the underside, to stop your fabric, your stitches coming undone, just weave in and out of the stitches you've got there, just a couple of times before you cut. And you can cut off. It creates quite a mess at the back, but it doesn't matter, you're not going to see that.